6. Sing praises to God. Sing praises. Sing praises to our King. Sing praises. 1 Chronicles 16:9. Sing to him, sing praises to him, tell of all his wonderful acts. In Psalm 104:33. I'll sing to the Lord all my life. I'll sing praises to my God as long as I live. There was a little boy that was sitting in church one Sunday morning, and his eyes were drawn to this large flag that was mounted on the wall with a number of gold stars attached to it. After a while, he leaned over and he whispered to his father, "Daddy, why does that flag have all those stars on it?" His father thought for a moment, and he leaned back over and whispered, "To remind us of all those who died in service." So the little boy thought about that for a moment, and then he whispered back to his dad, "Did they die in the morning service or the evening service?" From the very beginning of the Methodist movement, Methodists were famed for their hearty singing. The opposite was apparently true of the Anglican Church at the time. So this contrast gave rise to some jealousy on the side of the Anglicans. Only a few years after the beginning of the Wesleyan movement, John Scott commented in his pamphlet, Fine Picture of Enthusiasm from 1744, that the Methodists already had some of the most melodious tunes ever composed for church use. And of their singing, he said, "There's great harmony in their singing, and it's very enchanting." Another writer commented in 1787 that for every person drawn away from the Anglican Church by good preaching, 10 have been drawn away by the music. Singing occurred mainly at two types of Methodist meetings. The popular preaching service, which included hymns before and after the sermon, and at the love feast, where several hymns were sung at the conclusion. But it wasn't always at indoor meetings that Methodist hymn singing was remarked upon. Charles Wesley was known for leading his followers in hearty singing as they walked along public roads between gatherings. In fact, hymn singing became a trademark of Methodist worship, so much so that it aroused the envy of the Anglicans. Some of this jealousy appeared in a print of a pamphlet in 1762, where it included a chapter that was entitled, "The Methodists' Profane Manner of Singing." Its author criticized Anglican churches for singing light music, but says that at least they hadn't gone as far as the Methodists, who sang popular ballad tunes in church. The Methodist leadership made very specific directions on how the people were to sing. In 1746, it suggested the following to its preachers. Number one, to be careful to choose hymns proper for the congregation. Number two, to choose hymns of praise or prayer. Number three, beware of singing too much. Though many Wesleyan hymn texts were very long, they suggested no more than 5 to 6 verses were to be sung. Number four, to regularly stop the singing and ask the people if they knew what they had just sung about. This was one of John Wesley's favorite techniques, and I may try it myself. The following year, at conference, preachers were forbidden to use their own hymns in service. Only those approved by the Wesleys were to be sung. Nearly 20 years later, at the conference of 1765, they continued to instruct their leadership. In that year, they were told the following. 1, teach the people to sing note by note. Number 2, have the people sing Methodist tunes before any others. Number 3, not to let the people sing too slowly. Number 4, to encourage everyone present to sing. Number 5, to correct wrong singing. The most valuable comments on Methodist singing come from John Wesley himself, and it was a preface to the hymn books that they published. The following comments are found in the preface of the book Sacred Melody, and it was published in 1761. I've shortened to include the most important parts of the points. If you want to see the full text, they're actually still printed in our hymnals. If you want to look at page VII at the very front of your book, that's where the instructions for singing is. So in a nutshell, this is what they are. 1, learn these tunes before any others. 2, sing them exactly as they are printed here. If you learn to sing them otherwise, unlearn it as soon as possible. Number 3, sing all. See that you join with the congregation as frequently as you can. Number 4, sing lustily and with good courage. Beware of singing as if you were half dead or half asleep. But lift up your voice with strength. Be no more afraid of your voice now, nor more ashamed of it being heard than when you sung the songs of Satan. Number 5, sing modestly. Number 6, sing in time. Whatever time is sung, be sure to keep with it. Do not run before it nor stay behind it. Number 7, above all, sing spiritually. In contrast with the typical Anglican clergyman of his day, Wesley not only wanted his people to sing well, he knew exactly how and what he wanted them to sing. And all these efforts paid off. For the Methodists were known as the greatest hymn singers of their day. All told, the Bible tells over 400 references to singing, and 50 of those are direct commands to sing. In the longest book of the Bible, the Psalms, we find a book of songs. And in the New Testament, we're commanded not once, but twice to sing psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs to one another when we meet. You'll find those in Ephesians 5:19 and Colossians 3:16. So you may ask, why does God so often tell us not simply to praise him, but to sing his praises when we meet? Why not just pray and preach? Why sing? We are God's people. Why are God's people throughout history always singing? Why does God want us to sing? One reason is that God himself sings. In Zephaniah 3:17, it says that God exalts over his people with loud singing. On the eve of his crucifixion, Jesus sang hymns with his disciples. Hebrews 2:12 applies to Psalms 22:22 when Jesus says, in the midst of the congregation, I'll sing your praise. And Ephesians 5 tells us that one effect of being filled with the Spirit is addressing one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing and making melody to the Lord with all of your heart. We worship a triune God who sings, and he wants us to be like him. So this morning, for our hymn sing, let's see if we can make a joyful noise to the Lord in all that we sing. So who would like to start with a suggestion for our first hymn? Yes?
404.
404.